Hey, what's good, y'all? It's your boy DJ Fanatic Beats, content contributor for LiveOffBeats.com. Welcome to this video where I go over this beat, basically a beat breakdown, and this is probably one of the happiest beats you probably ever heard. I don't know. I wouldn't say that. That's a big statement, but it's probably, I can definitely hear it on like an animated movie. Like I can definitely hear it, like, you know what it reminds me of? Like it's that Lego movie where I think he's saying everything's awesome or something, but it was kind of repetitive, but it's very cheerful, a lot of bright melodies. I love the feeling of this beat. I don't know what I was on. I was just happy about life, and I can go into that as well, but this is a beat breakdown video. So anyway, if you like to follow me, you can follow me on Twitter at DJ Fanatic. That's DJ PHANATIC, or on Instagram at Sounds for Producers. So anyway, let me show you every element that I chose in this beat. I'm gonna go over the sound selection, I'm gonna go over the mixing and mastering, and also if I did any plugins, I'll kind of browse over that and show you what I did with that as well. So let me start out with the first sound that I chose to make in this beat that kind of kept it going was I tend to use every now and then something with a melody, like some type of something to drive me forward to make a certain sound. And this is not my typical genre, but you know, you should always, as a producer, try to make different stuff, especially, you know, if you're bold enough to do it and you want to try something different for a change instead of making the same music all the time. And remember, knowing different things, whether it's engineering or whether it's mastering or doing artwork, graphic work, or just knowing how to tweak drums right, it expands your creativity and makes you more of an asset. So anyway, let's see here. I started out with this. It's a loop, and it's probably a pretty cool melody in here, and I pitched it up a little bit, a couple cents, so that way I kind of made my own key out of it. So check it out. And that is so cool. I like how that came out. So that is a really awesome loop. It has like this happy lead sound to it, almost like a video game. But I did some cool stuff with some plugins. So this is without plugins. It sounds a little different, right? So when I use it with parametric EQ2, I actually cut off parametric EQ2. I cut off the lows so that way the lower frequencies don't shine through. And also I use this tool called Shaper Box. It's by Cable Guys, and I use layered techniques in this particular sound. I use a width controller. I used a basic, let's see, which one did I use? I use a basic parameter, but then I pulled back the mix level, so that way it kind of has its background sound but also this sound. But then I did something a little different. I added another effect. It's a timing effect on it. So on top of it, I have two effects on top of that with the EQ, and this is the difference. So here's before, and this is after. It makes it a lot wider, a lot brighter, bigger, and a lot more movement. So things like that, doing with your loops, definitely sets you apart. So the next sound I chose, this is something a little different. I found these claps that I thought were just awesome, and I just imported it in the beat just as audio. I didn't use it in the channel rack, kind of like what I usually do. I put the audio in the playlist window, and then you can make beats like that as well. So as long as it's on the grid right, you be straight. So I use these claps to kind of give it that brightness and just like a celebratory feel. And you're already happy right now, right? You can do that all day. So of course I cut the lows on that so that way the lower frequency instruments can cut through, and I added reverb on this clap just to give it this big sound. And I use Sound Goodizer, just a taste of it, just to give it some presence and a little power in the like just a little more oomph to it. So let me take solo the claps and take off the plugins. This is what it sounds like without everything. And this is after the processing. Big difference, right, for both of those sounds. So that alone is sound processing. Sound processing can change a sound entirely. I even challenge myself as a producer and get the most horrible sounds I can, and I can sound design or sound process them to make them sound 100 times better. I like to challenge myself like that. It's just a personal thing I like to do, is push myself to the limit. And like, yo, let me get some garbage sounds and just make it sound unbelievable. And sometimes, you know, a lot of time, actually almost every time, producers, artists don't even know that I took some garbage sounds and made something beautiful out of it. That's just something I like to do. And I'm not saying these sounds were garbage to begin with, but you notice the big difference there just by certain things that I did. So remember that, you know, you can take any little thing and make it better. It's like the ugly duckling, you know what I'm saying? That young female, you always thought she was ugly, and then she grows into being this beautiful woman. You're like, yo, she is beautiful. Where was she at? You see what I'm saying? So it's kind of like that. So anyway, the next sound I chose was a kick. My bad. Let's solo that. All right. Got these first three sounds, and this is the kick pattern I went with. And the particular kick is a really short kick, and it looks like, yeah, it's a really short kick, and it has a little bit of highs over the top. Notice I shifted it off the grid just a little bit, and I have a little bit of swing here, probably around 15%, just to kind of take it off the grid just a little bit, because I've DJ'd many places and like played in big, what do you call those things, huge nightclubs. I've even played in like amphitheaters before. I've done gyms, gymnasiums. I've done Olympic sized gymnasiums, just big stuff. And I noticed like anthem songs like this, the clap and everything's a little off. It's a little delayed because of that reverberation in the room, and also because there's like thousands of people, you know, or hundreds of people clapping off beat. So it has like this crunch to it. So I was kind of visualizing that as I was producing this. So the next thing I added was some hi-hats. If they play. Not bad. So let me just solo these first four here. I noticed the hi-hat is it's an open hi-hat basically, and it's on the end of the beat. And one, and two, and. And it gives it that steady feel to it, and it's shifted way off here, see? So that way, you know, it has its own space. The kick, I didn't show you. I use Sound Goodizer as well, just a little bit to give it a little stability, a little presence. And the hi-hat came out really cool because it just added this whole other element. So everything's kind of getting better and better as I build onto the previous sound. So, you know, that's a gem right there too, because take it sound by sound. Don't get overwhelmed and try to throw all this stuff in there. You know, pay attention to what you're doing and what type of rhythm. And notice this is pretty simple stuff. Got a simple, pretty straightforward lead, but I made it unique. Got a pretty straight, very simple clap, but I did some cool stuff processing. And the kick is really a short sound, a thud, but I did some cool little double ups here and there. And what's taking it home too is that open hi-hat. So on every fourth beat I have this. I just called it a sub effect, and notice the lower frequencies. And that makes this beat unique because it's not a cymbal, it's not a vocal effect, it's not like a hit or jab. It's a sub that bends down, and I thought it was kind of cool sound, so I actually put it at the beginning of every fourth bar just to do something different and be unique about it. So it stood out, obviously. So the next sound I added on top of that sub effect was a crash. So I used 2 different things on the first beat of every 4 bars. So I was getting creative. Notice the crash is actually on the first beat and the 4th beat, but it's not on this first beat here, and then it's on the second. So I switched it up to keep the listener engaged. So little stuff like that you can try out and just experiment with. So now that we have all that going on, this is a reverse riser. So I'll play that so you can kind of hear what I did with that. Notice it builds into the downbeat. Now reverse risers, or any type of riser, actually that's just a riser, can build energy into a certain part. So it's a transition. You want to get the listener excited for what's coming. So that's kind of what I did with that. So now next was some instrumentation. I added some cool chords in here, and that was with an arpeggiator. So I used an arpeggiator, but I had chords built in. So these are the chords I came up with, but I used it as a arpeggiator. My bad. Check it out. Yo, this beat is like an anthem, man. Especially like for like an animation TV movie. You know, if you got kids, you know, it's like Disney movies or something on Nickelodeon or something, I don't know. So let me just play this pattern by itself so you can hear the movement of the arpeggiators, and also how arpeggiators and chords, you can get some really cool results. So check it out. And for that particular sound, I use Nexus. So Nexus has some really cool ARPs. That ARP is the trimorph sequence, and you can make some cool chords and just throw that on there and experiment and see what you come up with. That's probably one of my favorite parts of this beat, other than the processing that I did. So the next thing I chose to do in this beat is a pad to kind of cool things out a bit. Notice nothing is panned. I only panned the pad and did stereo separation for the ARP. The ARP, I didn't even do reverb. I was really happy with how that sounded by itself. So here's the pad. My bad, gotta put it back in song mode. So this is the pad that I chose in the background here. You can barely hear it, so let me solo it. So notice everything pretty much repeats music wise. The same chords, same melody, and that has like a house feel to it. So it's a bright pad, but to add in into the other elements. So everything's bright, everything's happy, it's like crystal, and you know, it's like the movie Frozen or something. So and I panned that to the right because I just felt that melody should go to the right. And the next sound that I chose to add was the bass. So this particular bass is just like a bounce bass. It's just very happy. What is this? Routed kick. I think that was an accident. So anyway, the last sound that I chose was the sub. So this sub particular is just on every beat pretty much. It's matching the kick. It's a correlation with the kick. So notice the kick's on every beat. 1, 2, 3, 4, dun 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 dun. So the 808, not 808, the sub. And actually, let's see what kind of bass I chose. It was a bass I chose in Nexus. So this particular one was a soft bass. It has like that little, what do you call it? Like a house feel to it. But I did some stuff processing wise, I'm sure. Yeah, I cut the highs so that way it's not as bitey. bitey, and that way a lot of the higher frequencies doesn't come through. And also side chained it to the kick. So not much panning, only stereo separation here and panning here on the lead, on the pad. So nothing too crazy, and there's the levels there. That's, you know, according to taste. I'm not sure what the routed kick was, but maybe I'll figure it out. But here it is with the bass. Thought I'll solo that for you. Let's start that over. And the notes, it's nothing too crazy, you know, it's not all over the place. It's just a straightforward bass line that I thought would touch up on this type of beat. So this routed kick, it's bugging me, man. This technique is something that I chose to do. I know what I did. All right, this is a little advanced thing that I did. Basically, I took this same sound, right? Notice that's track 3 and that's track 11. So if I go to the channel rack, yes, that's what I did. So what I did, I duplicated it basically. So I took the kick, and if I want to duplicate it again, I can route to this track. Not only route to this track. Now what I'm doing is tripling that sound. Now what I did for this first kick, I have it as a regular, you know, the sound itself, but I use Sound Goodizer and EQ. What I did, I doubled it up by adding routed to this routed kick. So basically it's the same kick, but with no processing, and then I lowered it really low. So it sounds like double. So let's actually solo all of this, solo this, and notice how these three come up when I just solo that, because it's routed and it's also side chained to the bass. So check it out. Let's take this one off that I just made. Take the routed kick off. Hear how shallow it is? And when I add this, it has a lot more punch, right? But with this, it's a little overkill. But if I pan it, lower it a little bit. Let's take it off so you can hear it. And then I can get really creative and use just EQ on this one and only let the sub comes through. Right? Let's do a sharp turn curve here. Let's stop panning that. Ooh. Hear the difference? Take it off. Nice. It's very subtle, but you can hear those lower frequencies in the kick cut through. So that was just on a side note. I didn't want to go too deep into creativity stuff you can do with it. Just wanted to show you real quick how that one little mixing technique, you can get some really cool stuff. Let me disengage that so you can hear it when I play the beat. So that way you can do that with any sound. You can even do that with other, you know, claps, leads, whatever. But be careful, because you can get overwhelmed and you can have like lower harmonic issues and just frequency clashes and all kinds of stuff. So that's intermediate, I would say. It's not super advanced, but before, I don't think you can do that in FL Studio, but you can get some crazy results with that. I totally forgot I did that in this beat. So it's awesome, because I'm reminding myself of what I do. So anyway, hopefully you can take that and run with it. Please do. So anyway, let's play the beat. That's all the elements, and I use Endless Smile. Let me turn that on so you can hear it when I start the beat and hear what effect I did. That's a automation clip that I chose, and basically Endless Smile can do some really cool filtering stuff and reverb stuff to kind of do build-ups basically, or breakdowns in a beat. So let me turn that on. Endless Smile is on. Cool. I turn Ozone 8 off. And mastering wise, I use the iZotope products. Mostly I used to use FL Studio, but I use iZotope now. My bad. It's a lot more complex, but I use the track assistant and master assistant, and then just learn different parameters and twist a bunch of knobs and figure out what you like. Basically with Neutron 2 you can use track assistant, and what that does is determine how it sounds. I usually keep it on clean so it's a little more transparent and not as aggressive. And then I do parameter settings in each module. You can try different stuff in here. You can even try the presets. You click on presets, it has tons of different presets you can mess around with, but I usually use track assistant and go by my ear based on what I want to do with each parameter, or add other things that I need it. So I don't just rely on track assistant. It's a great idea, I think. And I also use, for Ozone 8, I use the master assistant, which is really cool because you can do a lot of cool stuff in each parameter as well. And you don't need all that stuff to make something sound dope. I know people that just use Fruity Soft Clipper and some type of meter. That's all they use. Or they'll use Fruity Limiter right here. Just throw this on here and just keep you sealing and mess around with the gain, whatever, and it comes out dope. So it depends on the beat and your level of expertise. So that's kind of why I don't go over mastering that much, because you can do it a million different ways and you can get the same results, and sometimes you get better results. So it depends on the beat and also the skill of the producer. So let's actually start it from the beginning. This is the the intro into the verse and the chorus, and hopefully this beat makes you super happy and you want to go watch a cartoon. You don't have to watch a cartoon, but hopefully, seriously though, this should definitely give you a different mindset, because all these cartoons, all these TV shows, there's they need music like this, and even like YouTubers, influencers, they need all kinds of music. This is like happy, feel good music. Maybe they just bought a Mercedes dealer, and they're happy because they're making money or whatever you can visualize in this beat. I'm saying, this instrumental, it's mind-boggling when people just get stuck in the same thing. So anyway, let me start it up. Here it is. Please enjoy. I know you're so happy. Notice the double ups on the claps. Big sound here. Here comes the bass. Break it down. Notice I took out a lot of elements to give it space here. And the double up claps at the end of every 4 bars, right here. Break. So feel good right now. Nice. I know you're super happy right now. Hopefully you are. I am, after listening to this again, and also thinking back how, like, when I couldn't even make stuff like this is a lot of growth, because I was in a rut, but now I'm just on fire, man. I'm just really glad I can make just anything, and glad I can show you stuff like this. So yeah, again, hopefully you're happy to make a beat right now. Just go at it and make something like this too if you want. But just wanted to show you just a different avenue, and also show you some tips that I learned that I did in this beat actually, and remembered that I forgot I did. So again, it's your boy DJ Fanatic Beats, content contributor for LiveOffBeats.com. If you'd like to follow me, you can follow me on Twitter at DJ Fanatic. That's DJ PHANATIC, or Sounds for Producers on IG as well. Remember, it's freedom to create. Keep creating, keep trying different things, and keep learning and growing. Peace and love. Catch you next video.